from the shining domicile that is Pittsburgh Comics, my old-mannered comic shop owner, Colin McMahon, transforms into the world's greatest comic book talking TV host. Join us true believers for Comics Now!
Hey everybody, welcome to Comics Now for June 2019. Summer is here. Someday we'll have nice weather. But I love summer because the biggest thing for me is that the TV shows are over and we get into reruns. Because my biggest competition right now is time. And I'm trying to compete with people for time, and they don't have time to read because they have all these shows to watch and everything. So now that summer's over, everybody's a little more kicked back, a little more relaxed. They have a little more free time. They want to, enjoy the summer. And a lot of that can just be reading outside, reading at night, having fun. I have lots of stuff you can read at the beach. So I always find a nice little swell in the summer of people coming in for stuff to read. And this June is no different than any other. We have lots of great stuff coming out. So the publishers like to do their big events in the summer. That's always their big thing. And then we're getting a lot of neat stuff from some smaller publishers. So here's what's going on at the store this summer and this June. We're doing, for book club, which is going to be Friday, June 28th, we're going to do Monstrous, which is a fantasy story from Image that's been really, really well received, lots of award nominations and things like that, so we're going to be doing that. The other thing in June, we're starting a neat program. There's Phil Boyle, who owns a bunch of stores down in Florida, wrote an essay to, mostly to the publishers, but it was published on a bunch of retailer sites, talking about what's wrong with the industry right now. And just a lot of things that publishers could do better to be more supportive of the stores. Because one of the big things he was talking about was there's too much stuff being put out with no support. They're not promoting it, they're not advertising it, they're relying on the stores to tell everybody about every one of these books that comes out. And he said it's just too much. We can't do all of it, and a lot of stuff gets missed, a lot of stuff gets over-ordered, so he finds he's pulling back on his orders, and he's going to support these publishers that do a minimal job with a minimal of effort on his part. So he started a program called the Comics Omnivore Program. And what they're going to do is a couple times a month they're going to come out with a book that's going to be fully supported by this program. The publishers are going to make a special effort to promote these books. Stores are going to be able to order them in large quantities because they'll be returnable. And we'll be able to have them on the shelf to be able to push them. This is like a backed book by this big organization now. Hopefully it gets big. I don't know how many stores are involved yet. But so all these stores are going to be pushing this one book and kind of just see, hey, can we move the needle on this? Let's see how much promotion and stuff actually does, as opposed to just putting it on the shelf and let's see. So this starts next week with a book called Thumbs. It's a dystopian future book from Image. It's basically The Social Network meets Blade Runner. And what if someone like Facebook decided to weaponize the users against society? So there's a new one. It's coming from Sean Lewis and Hayden Sherman. This is the same group, the same creators that did the book The Few, which is another one from Image that was really, really well received. The neat thing with it, because we're doing it as part of this program, the idea is for the first week, for the people who come in and really want to try it, it's going to be $1 off. So this one happens to be a $4.99 book, and now it's going to be $3.99 just for the first week to see if we can actually move the needle and get people to try something new. So that's something new that I'm excited about. I want to see where this goes, what publishers actually view it as productive and take part. So far we have Image, and a little later I'll talk about IDW and what they're doing in June for their book. So I'm just kind of excited. Just it's nice to be part of something grassroots that's trying to make something better and make the business better. So this should be interesting, if nothing else, for me. So now let's talk about all the great comics that are coming out. We'll start with Marvel because they always go full in on events. War of the Realms is just wrapping up. It's going to wrap up. The last 2 issues are shipping in June. And the story is also going through all of a bunch of books. As Guardians of the Galaxy, Champions, Captain Marvel, Avengers, Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, Venom, Thor, Tony Stark Iron Man, Giant Man, Deadpool, and Superior Spider-Man. Plus, all of the tie-in miniseries will be wrapping up as well. I'm not going to list those because there's too many. So that's going on with them. They also have a bunch of new number ones and one-shots coming. They have a new Black Cat ongoing book. She's had a relationship with Peter Parker, Spider-Man, off and on. She's basically a cat thief who has the power of luck. So we'll see some cat thief hijinks in that book. Silver Surfer Black is a miniseries. This is neat because this is coming from Donny Cates, who's their hotshot writer who's doing their big August event that's going to be starting called Absolute Carnage, but right now he's doing one called Silver Surfer Black. And he's doing this with Tradd Moore. At the beginning of the Guardians of the Galaxy that he wrote, the heroes got sucked into like a black hole and spit out in different places, and this is the story of Silver Surfer trying to get back without losing his soul. Incredible Hulk Last Call. This is a one-shot reuniting Peter David and Dale Kwan, who had a big run on Incredible Hulk back in the 90s. Spider-Man annual featuring Spider-Ham, the breakout character from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie, and he's finally getting a one-shot of all his own. And then they're also doing a one-shot Spider-Man Reptiliad Rage, where it's Spider-Man versus the Lizard. Wolverine Exit Wounds is kind of an interesting book, bringing back a lot of prior creators to do this one-shot Wolverine story, bringing back Chris Claremont, Larry Hama, and Sam Keith, along with Salvador Larroca and Sam Keith on art, and it said, and more, so we'll see who those more are. Age of X-Man books are going to be wrapping up. They're going to be wrapping up the entire X universe right now because they're starting something new in July that I'll talk to you about next month. But next July, they're revamping the entire X line, so all the X books are going to be wrapping up in June and early July. Star Wars is doing more of their Age of books, and this is Age of Rebellion that we're into now. And this month, we're getting Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. A nice little father and son team. Oh, spoilers, sorry. Over at DC, they have a big thing going on. We're kicking off Year of the Villain. They had it out for Free Comic Book Day. If you didn't get a copy, come in, they're free. Really neat little story kicking off what's going to be a year of villain-centric stories, touching on most of the DC books. So they're starting off in this month. Justice League 25 kind of kicks off the story. Most of the Year of the Villain stuff is going to be in Justice League. That's going to be the main book to follow the story, but then it's going to touch on lots of other books. We're also getting in Superman, they've been doing in Action, actually. Action Comics has been doing the Leviathan story. And just this first week in June, we're getting the Superman Leviathan Special, which is a big 80-page square-bound book kicking off the entire Leviathan thing. So there's a mini-series out called Event Leviathan. This is written by Brian Michael Bendis and drawn by Alex Malev. They had a big long run on Daredevil. And basically a newly dangerous Leviathan wipes out all its competition and now turns its sights on molding the world into its version of order. So, also, Action is going to be going along with this. So we're going to get the miniseries, and it's going to tie into the Action Comics storyline. The other thing they're doing, we're getting our third Black Label book, which is going to be Superman Year One. This is telling of the early days of basically Superboy by Frank Miller, drawn by John Romita Jr. It's going to be the same size as Batman Damned if you saw it, more of a magazine size, big, thick, square-bound. Should be really, really neat. I'm looking forward to this. But the first one is shipping in June. That's all. And then DC is just, same old with their other books. Just moving on with their stories. Nothing else new coming. Image, a couple things. So I already talked about Thumbs. That's going to be coming. They also have The Ride, which came out long ago, and this is kind of continuing it. It's the story of a police officer who admitted to murder and has had a rough time in jail and just got out, now trying to get her life back in track, but she has enemies looking for her. The neat thing with this is it's going to have an Adam Hughes cover and an Adam Hughes backup story in it, so there's going to be a lot of demand for this book. Sonata is another new one. This is from David Hine and Brian Haberlin. Brian Haberlin is getting really big into digital art and stuff. He's done a lot of Spawn stuff in the past, but he's done a couple books lately that he does a lot with digital, where if you hold your phone over the book, things happen, like leaps out of the pages. So he's been at all the retailer meetings talking about this and showing this, and this is his next book, is Sonata, where there's two factions have found this planet that they view to be like their paradise, their promised land. One is a peaceful society, the other one was warriors. The problem for both of them is that living on this planet are these giant monsters. And this girl, Sonata, is going to raise them and awaken them to kind of fight off both of these people that are coming to fight for this land. Spawn is getting closer to 300. 298 comes, and he's starting to do his homage covers, because he started on Amazing Spider-Man at 298, so 298, 299, and 300 are going to homage his Spider-Man covers with Spawn. Wicked and Divine is ending, much to everyone's chagrin. This has been a really, really, really neat story from Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey, and it's wrapping up with number 45 in June. Walking Dead. So we don't know exactly what's happening, but issue 192 will be the end of the next compendium. And Robert Kirkman always likes to leave things on a big cliffhanger to get you to come back, especially in the compendiums. This will be the fourth one. He really likes to do that, to really get you to sucked in, to even getting the issues and you're not wanting to wait. So something bad happened at the end of last issue, and I'm hearing something really bad happens in this issue. So it's Walking Dead 192, something really, really major happens. So if you're interested, come take a peek. And then the only other thing is Weatherman returns with a volume 2. That was a neat little story, and we'll see where it goes from here. Dark Horse, not a ton coming from Dark Horse, at least new. There's a new one of the Hellboy family books, but they have 2 new Disney books coming. They're doing a Frozen and a Snow White. So not sure what's going on with Dark Horse, but those are the new ones. IDW, this is the second of the Comics Omnivore books, is Usagi Yojimbo. It was at Dark Horse, it's now at IDW, and they're restarting it. Not restarting it, but just starting with a new number 1 telling the story of Usagi, who is a rabbit ronin in feudal Japan. But it's been going on for, I couldn't even tell you how many years. And it's well loved, and people are really excited that it's getting a new number 1 and coming. So this is going to be the second of the Comics Omnivore books that we'll be promoting. I'll have a big stack of them. You'll be able to get them, $1 off again. So it's a good opportunity to take a chance on this and see if you like it, because it is one of those really, really well loved books. And then IDW has a couple more licensed stuff. We have Transformers meets Ghostbusters, sure, and The Crow Hack Slash, kind of 2 horror-ish books merging. They also have one called Kanto, which it looks like a cute story about little robots that they had their hearts removed and replaced with clocks. And this little girl has her clock damaged, and Kanto goes on to search for her heart. And also Marilyn Manor. This is one from Magdalene Visaggio, who is really up and coming, up for an Eisner right now for Eternity Girl. That was excellent. But this one is a story, it's set in the 80s, and it's about the story of a rebellious president's daughter in the White House. So that could be fun. Dynamite, as always. Hey, we have a new Red Sonja number 1. I know that's shocking, but Red Sonja, Birth of the She-Devil. They're telling the origin of Red Sonja in her early days as a thief and adventurer. We're also having fun with Warlord of Mars. They have the license to Warlord of Mars. They also have the license to Mars Attacks. So why not Warlord of Mars Attacks? So it'll be John Carter, Warlord of Mars, fighting the Mars Attacks Martians. Betty Page is back with a new book called Betty Page Unbound. That's all we have from Dynamite. Next up, Boom. Boom is giving us Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 40, which is going to be the first appearance of the White Ranger. So if you're a Power Rangers fan, you're going to want this. Action Lab has a neat little one. It's called Banjax number 1, and it's basically Death Wish meets The Watchmen in a deconstruction of the superhero genre. Got to be careful when you say stuff like that, because that means the book should be really, really good. So hopefully it is. I have hopes for this. Aftershock has a neat one called Trustfall number 1. This is from Christopher Sabella and Chris Visions. And what this one is this girl has the power to teleport things, and she is part of a crime family. And so she can go into a bank and teleport all the money out. But the only thing she can't teleport is herself. So she has to trust that they will come and get her out of the situation. So, and as power shift and she becomes more important and gets some enemies, things can happen. So I thought that was kind of a neat idea. Ahoy, you know I'm a big fan of Ahoy comics. I was so excited when I saw on my invoice that Captain Ginger graphic novel is coming. And I will be telling everybody to read Captain Ginger, because I loved Captain Ginger. But Ahoy is a neat little company, doing lots of neat things. The main thing I like is the books are really good, but the story ends just after the midpoint, and then you get a backup story, you get a little text piece, you get an essay. It's lots of neat stuff. There's a lot of stuff there to enjoy. It's more than just sitting down and reading, some pages of a comic book. There's a nice little package. They have one called Steel Cage #1, and the idea behind this one is they're going to have 3 short stories in it, and then people get to vote via the internet on which of these short stories continue in further along in the book. So it's like a steel cage match between these stories to see which one survives. And I think it's neat. They have a Mark Waid story in the first one, so they're not just throwing stuff out there. They're going to have some good stuff in there. Archie has a fun one called Jughead's Time Police. So this is a synopsis that I enjoyed writing down. Jughead lost the pie competition at the county fair so badly that he was forever banned from even participating again. Well, he couldn't live with himself with that. So what's the only solution? Time travel. So he wants to go back in time to fix it so that he didn't mess up the pie so bad. Well, of course, bad things happen, and now he has to work hard to preserve the time stream, just as you know Jughead will do. So, just looks like silly fun to me. Aspen has a new Soulfire #1 series. Benitez Productions has a new Lady Mechanica series, which always sell really, really well. It's a steampunk story with just really beautiful, amazing, detailed art. So, really good stuff. Black Mask has a new Space Riders book. The first 2 series of that have done really well. People have really liked a kind of Kirby on drugs kind of look to it. So there's a new one of those coming. Black Box, who is a local company, they're a Pittsburgh company, has a new one called Militia #1. This is from Chuck Dixon, and 40 young girls become pawns for this militia and start doing stuff, and they're the worst nightmare for terrorists. Humanoids. Humanoids is a neat story. Mark Waid has taken over the reins of Humanoids to try to get a comic line going. They're well known for their, it's like, French, I think, mostly graphic novels and things. The Inkle is their big one from Hodorowski. But lots of big, highbrow, fantasy-type books. So he is bringing a comic line from them. And the first one is Ignited. And basically, the basic story is something really bad happened, but some people got powers out of it. So a lot of people died, a lot of people were injured, but some people got powers, and this is a story of these people who got the powers, who were ignited. So it's going to be neat just because I trust Mark Waid. He's got a pretty good track record for comics, so we'll see where this is going. Lion Forge is doing lots of stuff. They just merged with Oni, so things are going to be a little strange there. But there's a neat one where this one, at the end of your tether, another place, another time. Where this boy is moving back home, and he calls his ex just to let her know that he's coming, just so things aren't awkward. And after talking to her, he's very excited to see her again. And then when he gets there, the next day, he shows up and discovers that she's been missing for a week. So that raises a question of who did he talk to and what's going on. So I thought that was a neat idea. Cave Pictures. They're doing a book right now called The Blessed Machine that I really am enjoying. Futuristic. We destroyed the atmosphere and had to move underground, and they created an AI to automate everything like breathing and food and all this stuff, and then it turns out the AI is kind of taken over and turned a little evil. So that's a neat book that's already going on that I recommend. But they have a new one called The No Ones. The bastions of superheroes at the height of their fame and fortune, their brand has captured their souls. When they accidentally kill a man and cover up the crime to save their reputation, their corruption becomes a curse that erases their very existence. I'm like, ooh, that sounds important and neat. So that's Cave Pictures, which is a neat little company. Valiant has a new one called The Psy Lords. This is from Fred Van Lente and Renato Gatos. And basically 4 astronauts awake in a otherworldly prison, and they are now... and they have no memory of how they got there, what their connection to the Psy Lords is, and how they're going to escape. Vault has been doing a lot of really neat books. They're really pushing. They're being very retailer-friendly. All their #1s are returnable, which lets us order them. They send us PDFs so we can have them ahead of time. It's just they're doing it right, so I definitely want to push them. And they have a new one called Test One, another one from Christopher Sabela and Jen Hickman. And... Aleph is on the run from his old life in search of a mythical Midwestern town named Laurelwood, where they're test marketing the future with technology that can't possibly exist. So where's that going to go? What's going to happen there? Is it real? What happens when he gets there? Will he become a test subject that he didn't want to be? So we'll see. They're real big. Their main thing, Vault, is like the science fiction. They're kind of focusing, which I kind of appreciate, a company focusing on kind of one genre instead of trying to be everything. So that's pretty much everything that's coming out from the publisher. Not everything. Of course not everything. That's just the new stuff that's coming out. There's still the continuing stories. Batman's still going on with his fight against Bane. Superman's still fighting the bad guys. Spider-Man is going to be doing Hunted, just wrapped up, so we're getting into the next storyline for Spider-Man. We'll see where Avengers and Thor go after War of the Realms. So all sorts of good stuff going on. As always, I have tons of good stuff to read. If you're looking for something, please come and ask. We can point you in the right direction. I even have used and clearance stuff if you want to take to the beach that you don't want to worry about getting wet or sandy. So there's all sorts of good stuff here. So if you want comics, please come down. We'll be happy to take care of you. So that's all I have for this month. If you have any questions, you can reach me at the store, or the website's pittsburghcomics.com. On Facebook under Pittsburgh Comics, on Twitter and Instagram under PGH Comics. So if you have any questions or any comments, please let me know. We'll talk to you next month, and stay tuned for Comics Previews Theater. Thanks.
We've had many adventures together, Batman and I. I've been at his side practically his whole life.
Nearing final destination, Alfred.
I'm here. Sensors show no movement at the site, sir.
From the start, though, something about this case felt different. He'd been following it for almost exactly a year. The most unsettling thing about it was there was no grandstanding villain, no corpse, no real victim at all. It shouldn't have alarmed him, so... And yet...
No heat signature either, sir.
Understood.
I'll tell you a secret about him. About Batman. You know where he feels alarm? In his scar tissue. A grim warning system carved into his body. Keloid hypertrophic scars. I often feel responsible for...
Sir, I'm just suggesting there's no need to speed. I see no... Okay then.
As he neared the scene, he reviewed the files. Every morning for the past 363 days, someone has drawn a chalk line across a different, random, 5-foot stretch of Gotham. Gone by the next day. That's all this mystery was. Nothing more. But when he used his satellite to compile the photos, he saw the chalk outline was him. Batman. Dead. What's more, the dimensions of the outline were put Batman's stopped heart at the exact spot his parents died. Crime Alley.
I'm here.
As I said, sir, sensors are picking up nothing.
Someone else is here too. Giving you eyes, Alfred.
Bringing up visual... Oh no.
Hello, son. Are you hurt? Young man?
Sir, please be careful. Something about this...
I know, Alfred. Son, I'm going to take a look at you, okay? Just to make sure you're alright. Don't be frightened. I'm here to help. My God.
And then, I felt it too. Alarm. I've learned to smile in company to hide it, so often that I now feel the first warnings at the corner of my mouth. I was wrong about this case. Maybe about a lot of things. But now, it was too late.
Sir, I think you should get out of there.
Signal, Jim. Victim appears to be 10, maybe 11 years old, badly decomposed.
He's been posed by means of a prop, some kind of mechanical...
Sir, his arm! Bruce, move! Now, Bruce! Bruce!
Bruce?
Where? Alfred? Alfred, come in. Is anyone here?
You're here? Bruce Wayne. My lord. You're right here. And it's finally over.
What have you done to me?
Take it easy, Bruce. Please. Your motor functions, your speech, they'll all come back soon. It's a simple side effect. Just relax.
No, you're tricking me, playing a joke.
But I'm not. In fact, this is the first time in many years you're not being tricked, Bruce. See, we tried everything to get through to you. All kinds of therapeutic measures, nothing ever worked. But now, finally, a new medicine created by your family's pharma branch, a drug called Heliox, has done its job. And so, after all this time, you're actually here with us, in reality. And frankly, everyone at this facility, we're just so happy to meet you.
No, I know who you are. I know you.
I know you too, Bruce. I'm your doctor, Dr. Riemann Hud. And I have been for nearly 20 years. The whole time you've been here with us. In Arkham Asylum.
No, let me out.
Shh, Bruce. Please. This is the start of...
Don't touch me.
Look, I understand this is a lot. We all do. And behind that door are a lot of people who've been waiting to meet you. The real you. For a very long time. But first, you should meet the person who've been waiting the longest of all. Here, let me get you up.
Bruce?
No.
Bruce, is it really you? Dr. Hud?
The scans show full engagement. Mr. Pennyworth. He's still waking up, sure, but he's back with us.
Bruce? Bruce, talk to me.
Alfred, please just take me home.
I will, my boy. I will. I promise. I'll take you home as soon as I can. And I want you to know, as the first thing you understand while you emerge from your long nightmare, is that you are forgiven. No one blames you, Bruce. No one. Not your doctors, not the city, and certainly not me. Never me. Everyone knows you weren't in your right mind those years ago. When you did what you did.
Forgive me when I did what?
I'm so sorry, Bruce. I thought you understood this much.
Alfred did what?
Well, when you killed your parents in that alley.
No.